A viewer asked me recently about if I've ever used magnets in relationship to the coils and some of the other things that I've worked with, and I really hadn't. So to answer his question, I went and tested out the magnets and made a really fascinating discovery in the fact that the north side of magnets strongly induces the tracking fields and the morphic fields that we've been working with a lot of these devices. Now, to begin with, the magnets I've been using, you can use neodymium magnets. You can get them off the internet. These here, I got these from Home Depot. This was like $2.67. This is $1.67 for ring magnets. And these are ceramic, or ferrite, some people call them. And when you get a magnet like this or off the internet, they're not designated as far as what direction faces north. So what you do is these are a bunch of these magnets stuck together, and I put some dental floss in there, and you let it hang, and it will, let me get it away from the other magnets, and that way is north, and it wants to face north. So when you get the magnet, if it's facing north, put NP or NF, because it's north, the north pointing or the north facing pole. A lot of people would just put N for north and S for south, but if you know your physics, opposites attract, and the north pointing or the north facing pole of a magnet that everybody calls north, oftentimes is painted red. The north pointing or north facing pole is actually producing the same current, the same energy that you will find on the south pole of the earth. These are actually, the original designations were made by simple-minded navigators and not physics-minded individuals. So on magnets, the north is actually producing south pole energy. So I like to mark mine NP or NF, north pointing or north facing, because that's a reminder to me that that's actually south pole energy that's coming out of there. But that's how magnets are designated. So I would mark on there which side faces north, or which side points to north with an NP, NF. And the thing that I discovered as I was answering that person's questions was that the north pointing side of a magnet greatly induces the fields. And what I did for a test here is I took a ring magnet, and this is actually off the back of a speaker, popped it loose, found the north facing side. If I put the south facing side toward these, it completely shuts them off. If I put the north facing side in it, the thing just goes crazy. It like turbocharges the energy just pouring off this thing. And I took 2 strands of electrical tape, see my fancy attachment job, just wrapped it around it. And this is just a cement cone. And I'm not sure if this is half sand or whether this is premix or what this is, but the thing is really kicking. That thing makes a big, huge difference on it. And I tried the same also with semonite, and the exact same thing occurs. You put the south pole towards it, it shuts it off. You put the north pole towards it, and it goes crazy. Now, it doesn't matter if you put the magnet on the bottom or the magnet on the top, but you want to force the north pole energy into it. I even tried it on the side, but it doesn't give as good of an energy output. It really likes it on the top or on the bottom, but you want to force the north, the NP, the north facing pole, the north pointing pole. You want the energy that comes off that side, you want to put that into your devices. Now, there's 2 fields that I was looking at here. One is the tracking field, which I've talked about in my Crazy Orgonite Discovery and my dowsing video, but also there's a morphic field which goes out, and I've spoken of that before too. And when I tested this putting it under here more than doubled the size of the morphic field. I was very, very surprised. And then I thought, well, this would really help with dowsing. And here's one of my fancy dowsing rods. I like this. This is a dowel with some holes in it. And if you recognize what this is a campfire fork got from Walmart and bent it up and made it so it fits into the handle here. There's the spikes and the tines. And if you make these, don't drill the hole all the way in, just drill it so 2/3 of this will go into the hole. It makes it spin a lot better. But anyhow, so I was wondering about on these if the same magnetic properties would work to give these more power, and they did. Now remember, I said on my dowsing videos that if you hold the rod up like this, at the beginning of the power will be the back of your hand, is where the power will be. So if you're using the magnet on the back side of this, you want to put the magnet here. If you have your hand up, it'll be the back of your hand. If your hand is down, where your arm is straight in line with this, you want to have the magnet at the back of your arm. If you have your arm straight out, then you have to have it at the back of your shoulder. So with dowsing rods, it's actually better to get magnets and put them out here. And I wanted to find out if more magnets made it more powerful, and it was. This was the case. But the one thing that was fascinating when I was studying this was that the magnets would induce the power. If you had like the circular magnets here, let's see, there's my spare one. If you had the circular magnets and you had it here, they would induce the power this way. But the one thing that was interesting was if the pointer, the device you're using for tracking, if that gets anywhere into the South Pole energy, the whole thing shuts down. So when you're using these, you can use these to turbo boost a dowsing rod. But like you can get neodymium magnets, oftentimes they have those with holes in them, so you can slide them down. But the one thing you want to make sure is that this is nowhere near the South Pole coming out, because the South Pole energy will neutralize all the benefits that you get from this and actually neutralize the effectiveness of the rod. So that was really fascinating. But I am really super pleased with this. You know, I don't know how to give an estimation as to the increase in power, but like for the MORPHIC fields here, it more than doubled it. For the tracking fields here, it more than doubled it. And I would estimate anywhere between twice as much energy on the tracking field up to 10 times as much energy. So I was very, very pleased with this. And then if you are using these cement cones, I've recommended before that you have them set on something that's grounded, either a grounded plate or on cement or the dirt floor, somewhere where it's getting anion energy to send through it. And the same applies here, that not only does this help to turbo boost it, but also if you have a grounded plate below it, and you can ground to an electrical outlet, or you can set this on the cement floor where you've got the anions, but it just makes the thing just boost with power. The other thing that I tested here, talking about boosting of power, I was talking to a guy who grandfather in Croatia did dowsing for mining companies, finding what was in the ground, and he used crystals. So I wanted to test crystals, got some quartz crystals, and I tested these by attaching them to the rod, and they did increase the output of the rod. So I was very fascinated with that, and then I was curious, because I can read the positive and negative ends on these, and I was curious if that made a difference, and it did not. And then I thought, well, maybe the direction makes a difference. And the direction did not make a difference. That the crystals worked whether they were pointing sideways or whatever. And even by attaching a bag of crystals, or even holding it in your hand while you're dowsing, will greatly increase the output of the device. And these, it didn't really matter where they were put, but they do work. So anyhow, I want to pass this along, because this thing with the magnetism in particular really makes a big difference. But remember, you do not want the South Pole to be anywhere near your device. You want the South Pole always pointed away and the North Pole pointing in. So anyhow, have a good day.